far to the south of the American continent, where maps begin to lose detail, where the roads end, where the wind speaks louder than any city. There's a land that seems to exist in a permanent state of raw force. Patagonia, located between southern Argentina and Chile, this immense region covers more than 1 million square kilometers. But numbers do not explain Patagonia. It has to be felt. It is constant wind. It is moving ice. It is rising mountains. It is a cold, deep ocean. And to understand this biome, we must begin millions of years ago. The history of Patagonia began long before humans. Around 200 million years ago, when the supercontinent Gondwana started to break apart, South America slowly separated from Africa. Later, the Nazca Plate began to sink beneath the South American plate. This process, called subduction, lifted the Andes Mountains. The uplift did not happen all at once. It was gradual, violent, full of volcanic activity. The Patagonian Andes are relatively young in geological terms. That explains their sharp and irregular peaks. In places like Torres del Paine, we see exposed granite towers, ancient magma intrusions that became visible after millions of years of erosion. But the landscape we see today only gained its final shape during the last ice age. Around 20,000 years ago, during the last glacial maximum, enormous ice sheets covered much of Patagonia. These glaciers moved slowly, but with colossal force. They scraped rock, carved valleys, created lakes. When they retreated, they left deep scars across the land. The famous turquoise blue lakes exist because fine glacial sediment reflects sunlight. Among the largest remaining ice masses today is the southern Patagonian ice field. It is the third largest continental ice reserve on Earth, behind only Antarctica and Greenland. One of its most famous glaciers is Perito Moreno Glacier. Unlike most glaciers in the world, it maintains a relative balance between melting and advancing. When massive blocks of ice break off and crash into water, the sound echoes like thunder. It is the Earth adjusting itself. Patagonia lies at a latitude similar to the northern United States and southern Europe, but its climate is far harsher. Why? First, the winds. The region is under the influence of the westerlies, powerful winds that circulate almost freely around the southern hemisphere with few continental barriers. They gain strength crossing the Pacific Ocean. When they reach the Andes, they rise, cool, and release rain on the Chilean side. Then they descend dry on the Argentine side. This phenomenon creates two completely different worlds. On the western side, we find cold, temperate rainforests. Species such as Lenga and Koig dominate. Moss covers tree trunks. Glacial rivers cut through deep valleys. Fjords, former glacial valleys flooded by the sea, create dramatic landscapes along the Chilean coast. Constant moisture allows surprising biodiversity for such a cold region, but the weather is unstable. Within hours, the sky can shift from deep blue to violent storm. Cross the Andes into Argentina, and everything changes. The rain disappears. The soil becomes dry. Vegetation is low. Hardy shrubs dominate. This is the Patagonian steppe, a land of endless horizons where the wind blows almost constantly. It is an environment that demands extreme resilience. Despite the harsh conditions, life thrives. Guanacos roam the plains in groups. The puma is the dominant predator. Gray foxes and armadillos also inhabit the region. In the skies, the Andean condor glides on thermal currents. With a wingspan of up to 3 meters, it is one of the largest flying birds in the world. The Patagonian coast is one of the richest marine ecosystems in the southern hemisphere. At Peninsula Valdez, southern right whales migrate every year to breed. Orcas patrol the shoreline. Some have developed unique hunting techniques, intentionally beaching themselves to catch sea lions. Magellanic penguin colonies spread along the coast. Yes, even outside Antarctica, penguins live here. Patagonia is an ecological transition between the temperate and polar worlds. Few people know that Patagonia is also one of the most important regions in the world for paleontology. Some of the largest dinosaurs ever discovered were found there. Species such as Argentinosaurus, one of the largest land animals that ever lived, roamed the region around 95 million years ago. This shows that Patagonia was not always cold. It was once warm, humid, covered in subtropical forests. Its soil carries records from different eras of Earth's history. Long before European arrival, indigenous peoples such as the Tehuelche and the Mapuche inhabited the region. They were hunters and gatherers adapted to the cold and wind. They deeply understood guanaco behavior and knew how to interpret climate signs. Survival there required ecological wisdom. In the 16th century, the navigator Ferdinand Magellan passed through the region. The name Patagonia is believed to have come from the word Patagon. In the centuries that followed, the region became part of Chile and Argentina. Sheep ranching became economically important. Large estancias were established, yet the population remained sparse. To this day, Patagonia is one of the least densely populated regions on Earth. It is also one of the places most sensitive to climate change. Many glaciers are retreating. Ecosystems are shifting. Rising temperatures affect both marine and terrestrial life. Patagonia acts as a global indicator. What happens there reflects planetary change. Although it lies north of Antarctica, Patagonia shares polar climatic influences. But there are fundamental differences. Antarctica is a frozen continental desert. Patagonia is a mosaic of biomes, forests, steppes, mountains, oceans. It is a transition, an ecological bridge. Perhaps the most impressive thing about Patagonia is not only its geology or its wildlife, but the feeling it creates. It is a land where humans feel small, where the wind dominates the narrative, where silence is profound, where nature is still greater than any city. Patagonia is not just a biome. It is a reminder of how Earth once was.